coming to you live, but this is the crossover. And boy, do I got one to tell you. Convenient timing, too. Story time. So, shout out to the latest broadcast of the business. Today is September 23rd. This will be airing later on. This is a recording. Now, I had a story. Yesterday, which was quite a day for me, I had to make a stop. I had to make a inconvenient stop, one that I have not made in a while. I had to stop by the bank. I had to make a withdrawal. Of course, it was the bank of regret. Everybody needs a little regret in their lives a little bit. We all need that. Now, while I was in there, I did hear and witness some stuff that was interesting. So to lead up to that, what I heard, I'm in the bank. I walk in the bank. There were two ladies ahead of me. There was some Hispanic lady at the counter talking to the teller on the left. Then there was another individual that was talking to the teller on the right. And then one of the ladies, the dark-skinned lady, both of the ladies in front of me were older. They were the old hoe type. And the reason why I say that is because the first lady, the dark-skinned one, you could tell she was rough. She was rough. Her clothes were rough. Her voice was rough. She sounded like she smoked a pack a day. It looked like she survived the 70s and 80s, but barely. Like she had been through some things. You could tell if we were to go through the crack epidemic, you knew which side she was on. She was not the seller. She was the user. So aside from that, congratulations to her getting through that. There was also another lady. She was actually more well kept. Now she was just as old as the one before. She was lighter skinned, but she had like that kind of like blonde type hairdo. You know how some of these ladies like to wear the wigs. Now hers, however, looked more natural, so I guess it was a dye or something. But you could tell she was old. And the reason why I said they were the old hoe type was because I could tell both of them, like the darker skinned one, it was obvious. Like, okay, yeah, you have been through some things. She was belligerent, little to no etiquette and manners. She didn't give a crap. She was there, talking to the teller, all kind of whatnots. It didn't matter. So you could tell, we all know that type. But the thing was, they were talking to each other in line before, the dark skinned one went up there. So that's why I was like, okay, y'all pretty much talk the same lingo. And we all know that not all hoes are beat up, and some of them keep themselves better looking, like that one did. And also there were some telltale signs as well. As I walked in the bank, I saw the back half of the lighter skinned lady. I thought she was a young woman, because I was like, oh, I might have something decent to look at while I'm standing in line. And boy, was I surprised when I got in line and she turned around. And I was like, oh, you an old chick. And the reason why I say that was because she was wearing young women's clothing. She was wearing leggings and whatnot. And I guess you could say she was trying to show off what figure she did have. Now, that's not even the main part of the story. So, of course, those two ladies were black ladies. Also, that light-skinned lady, she did this weird jump. There was this guy, all banks usually have someone sit, kind of in the lobby area. So there was this guy, and I kid you not, this isn't even like just me being funny. This is what he looked like. He was a freaking Pillsbury Doughboy. Now, he was Hispanic, which I'm going to touch on that later. He was obviously Hispanic because he had the browner skin tone. It was still fairly light, but he had a browner skin tone. You could tell he was, Hispanic, probably from Mexico or something like that. But imagine the Pillsbury Doughboy with a slick back hairstyle in a suit. And I shit you not, it sounds funny, but it's kind of eerily weird how this image actually looked very much like him, except he had glasses. Like, I kid you not, that's literally what he looked like. So apparently he, I guess, just decided after he talked to this one person, he went to the lighter skinned lady that was still standing in line because the darker skin had went up to the teller and she was, doing her thing. And he asked her, like, excuse me, how can I help you? And and I'm going to touch on that later too. He went up to her and asked her if he could help her. She was like, "Oh yes, thank you. I had left my phone here." So apparently, he was like, "Oh yes, we got that," and whatever. He went back there, he got her phone, and she did this kind of weird kitty like skippy jump thing. She's like, "Yay!" And I was like, "Okay, you too old to be doing that." And that's why I said, she had that childishness in her. That's why I said they were two old hoes. So there were some telltale signs to that. I wasn't just saying that just to be degrading or anything. No, there were some signs I was seeing. I was like, oh yeah, you're childish. She's obviously a former addict. She had her vices. I know women that I know people. We all have people in our families that have some in-laws and whatnot as well. Yeah, I've been through some things. I get it. Okay, I see the telltale signs of that. Yes. Now, mind you, he didn't come to me and ask. Now, mind you, he wasn't talking to nobody or nothing. I was standing in there next in line. He had took care of her. He didn't even bother to come ask if I needed some help or anything. I just want to put that out there. But I will say, there was one other thing I did notice in that bank. It was 50-50 Hispanic when it came to verbiage and all the literature in the bank. So all the signs, everything was posted in English and Spanish. And I did notice all the workers there were what appeared to be white Hispanic. Because there was this one lady, she was like I don't know if she was the bank manager, but she looked just like this lady. I don't know if she was the bank manager or what, but she was either a loan officer or bank manager or something like that. But she was like, how they have the little offices to the side or whatever in the bank. She was there and she kind of came out and kind of stood in her doorway, kind of just observing the bank, I guess. And the tellers, of course. Now I will say this about the tellers, as I touch on them later, but the tellers look white Hispanic or whatever. So there was not another black soul in that bank, at least not that I assumed, other than myself and the two older ladies. But to be honest, I was probably the only FBA, because coming up to the main part of the story and the thumbnail. When I walked up to the bank, there was a security guard outside front. Um, Black lady looked, didn't look, I'll just say FBA. And I'm gonna call her Sassy Cop, even though she literally had no femininity about her whatsoever. She looked like a dude, at least was trying to look like a dude. So I'm just gonna, that's Sassy Cop. Was not attractive at all. I mean, all it's like all femininity was not there at all. It was like a dude in a woman's body, like, and yeah. So I'm I pass her on the way in. I go to stand in line. Okay, cool. And apparently, I hear some chit chat and chatter outside, and here comes Sassy Chick. So she was I could tell she wasn't FBA. She was definitely wasn't FBA. She didn't have an accent, but that look. She had the immigrant gap and everything going. She dressed like, I see like uh, some of those bougie ass African chicks dress. The plaited pants, hugging all her curves and whatnot, and trying to dress up, but at the same time, you can kind of tell, like, okay, you dress nice, but I could tell once you take them clothes off, you probably gonna look a little sloppy. So she had the attire of a woman that was being well kept, but she herself wasn't well kept. Meaning she, obviously she was out of shape. So I will say one thing that I did notice recently as well in Charlotte. I had drove by. There's the area South Boulevard, and I kid you not, it was on. Was it a weekday? It had to have been a weekday because my days off on a weekday. It had to be like a Tuesday or Thursday. And I kid you not, I'm going right there where they had a light rail. Bunch of white people, just all white people, guys and girls. You could tell like some of them in the packs and the twos of the single guys and the single girls, which that itself is something I'm probably gonna have to touch on, because there were maybe one or two couples, and then the 80 or 90% of the other people I saw, they were all jogging. All of them were jogging. All of them are white. All of them jogging. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not into white girls, but I'm like, hey, like, I see some attractive shaped white women out here jogging. When I say attractive, I mean they just keep themselves in shape because they were obviously jogging to keep themselves in shape. Of course, you already know they always wear the little short shorts and the leggings and stuff, so they're trying to show off what curves they do have, right? And there were a couple where I was like, okay, if he was black, okay, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, there are some chicks out there, they got somebody. Now, not a single black chick, however, in that area that I was at. However, when I went further down the road, there were like 3 or 4. All of them were overweight. None of them were in shape. None of them were even comparable to what I saw with the other chicks. I'm just like, oh, jeez, here we go. Like, where are all the jogging in shape black women? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, where are y'all at? Where are they at? So unfortunately, just to keep that in mind, I just wanted to touch on that note because that was something that I did notice earlier this week as well. But like 80 to 90% of the joggers out there were single or just in packs of just straight guys or just straight girls. I don't know. I'm assuming they were single. I don't know. So how today is. Could have been gay guys. Could have been gay lesbians. I don't know. What is a gay lesbian? However, of course, now this imagery looks exaggerative, but that's kind of how she was dressed up. She had the little shades and her little outfit and the little plaited pants that was hugging her derriere that you could tell if she took them off, there was going to be some cellulite there because she was just too thick, obviously. One sloppy thick, but let's just say she could have lost 30 or 40 pounds. Like if she would have lost 30 or 40 pounds, I'd be like, oh wow, you'd actually be killing it. If you lost 30, 40 pounds, you'd actually be killing it. But obviously, how it is. Now, I will say this. I will preface this with this. I was not eavesdropping. It's like some of y'all be trying to listen in and get all into everybody else's conversation. I was just standing in line. These bitches was behind me talking all loud and shit. And you know how it is. The bank's quiet. There's a freaking echo to some extent. Everybody in the bank heard their conversation. I kid you not. Everybody in the bank heard the conversation between Sassy Cop and Sassy Chick. Okay. Now, Sassy Chick is the one the story that I kind of wanted to touch on. And as you know, you see the white Latinos back there in the back, and that's coming up later. Now, Sassy Boss was talking to Sassy Chick, and they were like, oh, hey, girl, blah, 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 girl. And Sassy Chick was like, oh, yeah, I came back because, I got that loan or whatever. Now, she didn't say what type of loan. I'm just assuming. If you know anything about the immigrants here, they either get business loans or home loans, because they want to try and do something. Some of them use credit cards on the down payment, but I do say they get a disproportionate amount of business loans. They love giving banks and the society, shout out white supremacy. They love giving these black immigrants business loans just to kind of be like, oh, see, look, FBA people, these people are doing business. Okay, well, give me a business loan and I can do the same thing. Oh, well, you don't qualify. Most FBA black people know what I'm talking about. We've all been denied a business loan here or there. Now, she came there. She blabbing her mouth out to Sassy Cop Chick, who came in the bank. Now, mind you, I didn't mind, Sassy Cop Chick because she's out front. Because I'm thinking, okay, she's not really gonna save my life, but if something does pop off, at least she'll be the first to go, right? But she came in the bank because she was blabbing her damn mouth off to Sassy Chick, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, get your ass back out there, do your damn job. Like, what the fuck? If shit pop off, I mean, she was still by the door, so she'd still be the first to go, but I'd have less warning, to get the fuck out the way because they're just 2 glass doors or whatnot. And aside from that, blabbing her mouth out, blah 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 blah. So Sassy Chick was like, yeah, I just got here, came alone, and girl, so such and such. I guess she was talking about her dude. She was like, I'm still with such and such, and he talking about, he got some thing coming, and he got to do what he got to do. And I'm like, yeah, well, you got to, because I'm not trying to waste all my time here, girls. Y'all, I'm not tripping. I'm not playing that like she was doing all that popping and girl. I shit you not. That's literally what she was doing. But she was talking about her dude, and he was like, oh, I got some, how some of these guys. I'm pretty sure he's probably immigrant too. But you know how these guys are like, oh baby, I got to stop coming up, I got to do this, it's so hard out here. I guess so. He was running a game on her, and because she's an immigrant chick. They're always tell themselves that it's better to deal with the immigrant guys than the real guys out here. Either that or get a white guy. So I guess she couldn't get a white guy, so she naturally settled with the immigrant guy. So I'm thinking, okay, I heard this story one or two times too many, and then I heard something crazy. I just heard something. I almost wanted to laugh. But as like on that tail end of what I was just saying before, she was like, "Yeah, girl, I've been with him," and she said something to the effect. I'm gonna try and quote it best I could, but it was something to the effect of, and I quote, "I had, I had gave up my 20s to him, and she said it like that to them, so meaning the guys, because she wasn't just referring to her guys, which is why I picked up on her saying what she was saying. So I was like, I gave my 20s to him, but I'm in my prime now, my 30s, and so I'm just trying to have that for me. And then the sassy bank chick, she was like, "Yeah, girl, that's right. Your 30s and your 40s. I did the same thing with 30s and my 40s." And I'm just thinking, girl, y'all, I am not lying. That's why I'm telling the story. It was like I was sitting in some type of real life show scenario or something. Like I'm looking for cameras or something. Like if it's some sort of YouTube got me or something like that. It was just like that. And the amount of people co-signing this crap, because if you don't know anything, we are on the slow, and I mean turtle snail slow decline, straight off the peak of the absolute worst housing market of all time. And not just housing market, cars, loans in general, the highest interest rates of all. It's ridiculous. We are competing. No, we are beating what was going on in the Great Depression. Like that's, and then that's not even factoring in the inflation and everything. So yeah, worst time to try to secure any type of financing at all, for especially for housing, especially for vehicles, auto loans, anything like of that nature. Business loans, okay, if you want to take that risk, cool, but still, worst time ever. Now, mind you, this chick coming in there, talking about her loan she'd incurred, talking about how she's in her prime in her 30s, and whatnot. She's done playing around with them, meaning the guys, because she gave them her 20s, and she said, "Now I'm in my prime. I'm in my 30s. I'm gonna do me." That whole hot girl summer. It sounded like the hot girl summer speech was coming up. I'm gonna do me now. I'm gonna have my 30s and 40s to myself, and I'm like, okay. Like, you do realize your prime was in your 20s. I'm like, you literally already passed your prime. But hey, to each his own. That's what she said. She said, "I'm in my prime. I'm in my 30s now. I'm gonna have it to me." Now, I finally got up the line to the bank teller that was on the right. I assumed she was white Latina. Did not have an accent, but here's why I said that. Because if you don't know, there's different shades. The Latinas, there's various shades. Not often do they always look like this on your screen. When I say different shades, I'm talking about like they often look like not even like this. Like you think that they are a white person, like an average regular white. Like this guy right here could actually be a Latino guy, like a white Latino guy. Because you have to realize, down in South America, they have black and white people just like we have up here. It's just they're a little more blended by majority, But I say that because across the street, kind of like this, there was another chick. She looked like this. She had a weird accent. She had a tattoo sleeve, of course, and she was I think it was at a CVS, and I had asked her. I was like, "Where are you from?" Because she had this weird accent, and I was, she was kind of talking kind of low, because I could tell she was trying to hide the accent, but I was trying to figure out where the hell her accent was from. It sounded, because we did have some Ukrainian implants here. Now, she wasn't pale enough to where I thought she was Ukrainian, but she did kind of look like this lady right here, as well as my bank teller, except my bank teller, she was even like more normal looking than this. She kind of, well, yeah, how can I say? Like if she didn't say she was Latino, you would just assume she was white. But at the same time, this other chick, I thought she was Ukrainian. She just had the tattoos sleeve or whatever, some tattoos and whatnot. I can't remember if she had the piercings or not too. But I was just like, okay, that sounds like a Russian or Ukrainian accent. I just kind of, but it was kind of weird. And I was like, excuse me, where are you from? And she was like, Colombia. And I was like, or it was like Colombia or one of those South American countries. And I was like, and I guess for a second I kind of was like, oh, really? Because after she said that, she kind of gave me like a weird look, like you don't believe me kind of look. And I was just like, because I was kind of surprised. And I was like, oh, and I was like, and just to kind of clarify why I kind of had that weird look face for like a split second, I was like, oh, because I thought you were like, Ukrainian or Russian because your accent or something. I couldn't hear it right, but she was actually from South America. So I was like, okay, I went across the street, to the Bank of Regret, and the bank teller also looked similar. Where I couldn't see the tattoo sleeves or anything like that. She had on a pantsuit or dress suit for ladies, and I'm thinking, okay, she's probably Latina too. And sure enough, sassy chick's back there talking in the back, and while I'm standing right in front of the bank teller lady, she's taking care of me, looking at my stuff and whatnot, helping me out with my account stuff. And she's like, to the sassy chick lady, she's like, oh, hey, girl. Now, mind you, this is the bank teller. She's like, oh, hey, girl, how you doing? And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? like, all of them kind of talking to the side. Now let me know sassy chick was there for a minute, and I guess trying to get that loan or whatever. A lot of these African immigrants, they're very, cordial with the right people. They love talking and chatting and trying to build rapport and whatnot. So I can tell she had done her work at that bank because they all kind of knew her. Like, oh, hey, girl, because the security guard was still there blabbing her damn mouth off to her. Once again, like the entire bank could hear their conversation. And I'm just thinking, okay, this is a bit too much. Like, y'all pretty much just secured whatever crappy loan this chick just got, knowing that she's going to most likely go into debt, a significant amount of debt for whatever it was the loan was for. I'm just assuming it was a housing loan because that's how Black women roll. I'll just have to get you a fucking house, even if it's the worst time to do it. Ask me how I know. But yeah, I was just like, all y'all just co-signing this, and I'm just like, this is what the hell is going on here? It made me think of a lot of those, the things I had been talking about, not just on my channel, but also, JB in the business, what he's talking about on his, which, there's going to be some links in the description to some of those videos that I'm referring to, but just that scenario right there was worth at least talking about, because I was like, wow, this is why things are the way they are. You got the sassy, immigrant chick getting some type of predatory, because I kid you not, the rates are ridiculous. God forbid it was a house loan. I don't know what type of loan it was. God forbid if it was an auto loan. It's just not a great. It's literally the worst time to do any type of loan. It really is. But this chick was coming in here talking about how she really wanted it, trying to, even referring to her pressuring her dude, like, all right, I ain't trying to sit around here waiting for you to get your shit together and blah 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 blah, because dude was broke. And I was just like, okay, her and the security guards out there, yeah, sister girl, that the whole sisterhood thing. The whole sisterhood thing. I talked about that non-forced area. You gotta acknowledge it. It's all of them. Now it's spread to now, even though it's not, it's like a face, it's like blackface, but now it's spread to the Latina chicks. Now they're not technically part of the sisterhood, but they condone it. They do that. Oh, hey, sister girl. Hey, girl. Hey, sister girl. Girl. All of them. They all in on it. And sassy chick is just, that's why they're back there in the back, just just watching her going her into her demise, and like, oh yeah, girl, you go get it, go kill him, girl, you do your thing, girl. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, what the fuck? This is terrible. And then I walk out, and sure enough, sassy chick's still there, with her tight ass pants on, obviously trying to show off her assets. And I went and got in my car, and she's still there talking with old sassy cop. Now, mind you, I found it. It was hilarious, but at the same time, it wasn't, because I knew, like, okay, this can't turn out well. But imagine chicks talking about, oh yeah, I gave my 20s to him, and now I'm in my primes, and now I'm gonna keep my 30s and 40s to myself. And then you have sassy cops sitting there talking about, yep, girl, that's what I did. That's what I'm talking about, 30s and 40s. And I'm just thinking, you want to be like sassy cop? She's a security cop. All femininity is gone. Like I literally thought she was a dude until I really looked at her, and I was like, oh, I thought she was like a 5'6" guy, but then I look and I'm like, oh yeah, you're a chick, and I'm like, you. Now, mind you, she's like, that's what I did to sassy chick, who's I will say she was dressed fairly better than her. I mean, obviously because she wasn't wearing work clothes, but you could tell. Like I was like I said, hey, if you lost 30, 40 pounds, I'm like, hell, hey, she'd be actually killing it. But it is what it is. And I was just like, okay, you're telling about you gave away, you had your 30s and 40s to yourself, and there you are. Okay, but I just want to tell that story. I just thought that was a big old fat slap of irony right in my face. It was like, oh wow, I've been talking and stuff about this, and then here we are, like all these little scenarios that I've been talking about and referring to, to the old hoes, to the Latina chicks, and hell, even Pillsbury Dough guy. It's just, I was like, man, this like, am I like on camera or something? Like, it was ridiculous. But yeah, and there they were. There they are. She got that loan. Absolute worst time to get a loan, especially housing or auto loan. I'm still waiting on the car thing. I paid my car off last year before, and I've been looking to upgrade it and get a truck, but I was just like, yeah, let me just hold on to this for now, probably for another year or two, to be honest. So at least we get back to where we were in 2019 at best. But yeah, I thought I'd share that with you. This has been the crossover pre-recorded. Thanks for watching.